Just like 2024, 2025 absolutely spoiled us. From AAA to indie masterpieces, just about every month was filled with a different journey yearning to be experienced. This year, we saw a rise in monthly active users on Steam to around 39 million people, with an all-time 2-month peak at around 41.6 million people, which is completely mind-blowing. We also saw the highest ever recorded amount of Steam releases per month. For the month of November alone, we saw over 1,900 games released on Steam, totaling almost 20,000 games to date for 2025. Just like last year, this year I'll be focusing on the best of each month, starting off with the game that, in my opinion, won over that month. I'm going to be doing something different from last year though, so stay tuned until the end to see who I crown as Game of the Year. And of course, if you enjoy this content, throw me a like and subscribe. And be sure to comment on what your favorite game was from this year. So sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and enjoy. Because I made this video way too fucking long. This month's winner has to go to Dynasty Warriors Origins. This game is a complete reimagining of the Three Kingdoms saga, where you play as a mysterious guardian of peace, an amnesiac warrior who witnesses the entire conflict from a neutral perspective. Origins styles everything up to an 11, as your protagonist will face thousands of enemies simultaneously on massive battlefields. The combat has evolved dramatically with a new parry system, tactical squad commands, and weapon variety that emphasizes quality over quantity. Each weapon class has distinguishable depth and feel. For example, the wheels send out boomerang blades that require well-timed button presses for devastating follow-ups. What really sets this apart is the storytelling approach. Since you're locked into one protagonist who's a neutral wanderer, you see the entire romance of the Three Kingdoms from a cohesive bird's-eye view, with characters opening up in ways previous entries never allowed. You'll eventually choose between Wei, Wu, or Shu, making your playthrough genuinely personal. With almost 1 million units sold and over $50 million in gross revenue, this game is absolutely worth picking up for $69. Here are the honorable mentions for the month of January. February came around the corner quickly and showed just how fast so many blockbuster games could be released. We were ultra spoiled with all the titles released this month, with Monster Hunter Wilds exclusively taking the spotlight for most of the month and peaking at over 1.3 million players. Unfortunately, the title came with tons of performance and bug issues, causing many players to be unable to fully enjoy the game. That's why this month's winner ends up being Repo. I remember playing this game for many nights with friends and going around and just being dumb. I'd personally go the more aggressive route, where you'd stack strength upgrades and end up just running in, picking up the monster, and yeeting them into the abyss. Unfortunately, the developers buffed how much strength you need for certain monsters, but I will say it was quite fun when it was a thing. The game also has tons of mods available for making a more enjoyable experience with friends. The TLDR of this game is that you and up to 5 friends play as robots employed by a mysterious AI called the Taxman, collecting valuable items from haunted post-apocalyptic locations. But the twist is that every object is fully physics-based, so you can't just pocket items. You use a gravity tool that levitates them, and every time you bump into walls or other players, your loot depreciates in value, and in some cases, even breaks. The monsters are both terrifying and hilarious, as some can possess players, altering their appearance and voice, creating intense yet comical chase sequences. We got talking creepy gnomes, evil clowns, and yes, even murderous ducklings. The proximity chat makes everything more chaotic when your friends start screaming as they smash a grand piano into everything. With over a staggering 16.9 million units sold and over $136 million in gross revenue, this game absolutely dominated February. For only $9, this game is absolutely worth every penny. Here are the honorable mentions for the month of February. March rolled in at the blink of an eye and yet again provided a massive list of stellar games. This month's winner was a close tie, in my opinion, between 2 titles I've personally poured almost 15 hours into each and have played through fully. That is Schedule 1 and Split Fiction. Both made by smaller studios with 2 totally different gameplay loops, but both, in my opinion, were amazing. If I had to choose a winner, I'd have to give it to Schedule 1, which is a slightly longer gameplay loop and is quite enjoyable with friends. I can't say I've ever learned more about drugs than I have in this game, but in a lighter sense. The gameplay loop is super satisfying and is absolutely worth playing with at least 1 to 2 other friends if possible. The gameplay is straightforward but incredibly addictive. You're a small-time dealer rolling into Highland Point with no cash or connections, building your drug empire from the ground up by manufacturing, distributing, and selling various substances while contending with law enforcement and rival cartels. You can play solo or in co-op with friends, and the game features full automation, including hiring dealers, workers, and suppliers to build a completely hands-off operation while you expand into properties and businesses. What sets Schedule 1 apart is its stylized approach with heart and soul, compared to the grittier, more nihilistic alternatives in the genre. The NPCs actually exist in the world with real schedules, and mixing drugs creates wacky effects like glowing eyes and hair loss. With over 7.5 million units sold and over 132.5 million in gross revenue, this game pretty much owned March. For only $19, it can be yours. Here are the honorable mentions for the month of March. April was arguably one of the most craziest months of 2025 in terms of game releases. It included, in my honest opinion, the Game of the Year title, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Between the Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered release, Expedition 33, the new RuneScape game, Wuthering Waves, and even another remastered title, The Last of Us Part 2, there was arguably too many great games to play within a 30-day time period. This one was a tough one to choose, as I feel like pointing out a single game that owned this month would undercut the other handful that did absolutely phenomenal. But if I had to choose one, I'd personally have to go with Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Although this game didn't peak at #1 players this month, it still took the whole gaming community for a journey. Created by French indie studio Sandfall Interactive, this is a turn-based RPG inspired by Belle France, with a dark, haunting premise. Every year, a mysterious entity called the Paintress paints a number on her monolith, and everyone of that age turns to smoke and dies. You're part of Expedition 33, humanity's last desperate attempt to destroy her before she paints again. What makes the game special is how it revolutionizes turn-based combat. The game combines traditional turn-based strategy with real-time mechanics. You dodge, parry, and counter in real time, chain combos by mastering attack rhythms, and use a free aim system to target weak points. The soundtrack by Lorien Testard is being compared to Nier Automata as the best RPG score in years, and the Unreal Engine 5 visuals are absolutely breathtaking. I'll honestly say I haven't heard such a great in-game soundtrack like this one since The Witcher 3 dropped back in 2015. With over 4.2 million units sold and over a staggering $169 million in gross revenue, this game took the entire internet by storm. You can pick it up for only $49. Here are the honorable mentions for the month of April.
Dim, dam, dadilam, vacarme s'en va dans l'oubli éternam. Et Gustave, dom guardiam, dilim, didididilam, lutes sera dodilom, seram. Dim, dim, da, 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 dim, da, 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 dim, da, di, dam. Dim dim da 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 dim dim da 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 dim da di dam. Dans là-haut sera ravi, les toits à sœur noir gris fera. Clair, obscur, trouble de rature, trouvera effet. Clair, obscur, bordé aux peintures, trouvera sans elle. Clair, obscur, trouble de rature, trouvera effet. Clair, obscur, bordé aux peintures, trouvera sans elle. obscur, troublera-tu, clair obscur, guardé aux peintures. Clair obscur, trouble de rature, courera Eiffel. Clair obscur, guardé aux peintures, trouvera sans elle. Clair obscur, trouble de rature, trouvera Eiffel. Clair obscur, guardé aux peintures, trouvera sans elle.
This month's pick was hands down Elden Ring Night Rain. Logging into Steam almost every single day during May, I saw about 70% of my friends list playing the new Elden Ring game. While this game personally sits in the abyss that is my over 500 game wish list, watching through gameplay footage just shows how magical the game truly is. This is a standalone roguelike set in an alternate Elden Ring timeline, where you and up to 2 friends have 3 in-game days to prepare for a massive boss fight against one of the 8 Night Lords. This is an action RPG battle royale hybrid. Basically, imagine Lands Between as a stadium with familiar monsters, cranked up to 2 times speed and designed to be replayed every 30 minutes. Unlike traditional Elden Ring games where you play at your own pace, Night Rain is literally a sprint, with a Fortnite-like storm shrinking the map. You play as one of 8 unique Nightfarers with distinct abilities, and every run randomizes loot, bosses, and map events. With over 3.2 million units sold and over 112.2 million in gross revenue, this game took over the month of May. You can pick it up for only $39. Here are the honorable mentions for the month of May. June came back around with multiple killer titles. We saw Dune: Awakening arise, Peak come out of the shadows, and even Deltarune, which is from the creators of the legendary title Undertale. This month again, without a doubt, gave us simply too many titles to fit in one month. Although I spent hours in Peak screaming at a large rock with grass on it, aka a mountain. This month's winner, in my eyes, ended up being Stellar Blade. You play as Eve, an elite soldier sent from humanity's space colony to reclaim Earth from monstrous creatures called Nativus. The combat system emphasizes precise timing. You fill beta and burst gauges through successful parries and dodges to unleash devastating attacks. What makes the game special is how it blends Souls-like combat with character action game spectacle. It's like a mix between Nier Automata and Bayonetta, with a heavier emphasis on parrying and counters. The PC version runs brilliantly on a Steam Deck with a dedicated preset, hitting close to 60 FPS in most scenes. With over 3.1 million units sold and over 141.9 million in gross revenue, this game is absolutely worth the $59 if you're into the Souls-like hack and slash genre. Here are the honorable mentions for the month of June. With summer nearing an end, we saw less heavy hitters than the previous month. The game that owned the month of July, in my opinion, was Abiotic Factor. Abiotic Factor is a survival crafting game for 1 to 6 players, set in an underground research facility in 1993. Imagine Half-Life meets Valheim. You're a scientist caught in a catastrophic containment breach, fighting paranormal threats, aliens, and trigger-happy soldiers while trying to escape. What truly makes the game special is it focuses on a slower, less punitive style that emphasizes exploration, adventure, and role-playing, instead of the typical harsh survival grind. You craft everything from makeshift wooden bats to laser cannons, choose your PhD specialization for unique buffs, and manage needs like hunger, continence, and radiation exposure. The 90s sci-fi aesthetic with low-res graphics gives this game its real charm. With over 1.7 million units sold and over $38.8 million in gross revenue, this game is worth the $34. Here are the honorable mentions for the month of July. For the month of August, we saw massive game releases cool a bit. For this month's winner, I had to give it to a game I personally got as a review copy and played through completely. Mafia: The Old Country. Mafia: The Old Country is a gritty mob story set in 1900s Sicily, where you play as Enzo Favara, fighting to survive and prove your worth to the Cosa Nostra. This prequel explores the origins of organized crime with fully localized Sicilian voice acting and authentic period details. The game has an impressive yet gripping narrative, fantastic characters, and stunning visuals that bring 1900s Sicily back to life. The story is well acted, emotionally grounded, and maintains strong pacing throughout its 12 to 15 hour runtime. The game returns to the linear, story-driven format of the original Mafia games, all while allowing open-world gameplay. With over 438,000 units sold and over 19.1 million in gross revenue, if you're into the Mafia series, this game is worth the $49. Here are the honorable mentions for the month of August. After a couple months of the game release drought, we finally saw huge titles kick back up in the spotlight, including the well-coveted and over 7-year waited for game, Hollow Knight: Silksong. I would be lying though if I didn't say this was a close contender. From hours spent running around bonking things in Mega Bonk, to getting the shit scared out of me with Silent Hill F. This month's winner was a game that at its peak had over 500,000 players, followers, and over 373,000 reviews. This month's winner has to be Hollow Knight: Silksong. Hollow Knight: Silksong has you play as Hornet, battling through the kingdom of Farloom as you ascend to its peak, facing over 200 foes. This is the epic sequel fans waited for desperately. The game is, to simply put it, a masterpiece with multiple perfect scores, praising its fast content, profound system, and painstaking artistry. It has a Metacritic score of 93, which makes it tied as one of the highest rated games of 2025. The game features stunning hand-drawn art, Christopher Larkin's orchestral track, and lethal acrobatic combat with a huge suite of deadly moves. With over 4.8 million units sold and over 77.7 million in gross revenue, this was one of the most anticipated games for 2025 and is absolutely worth the $19 price tag. Here are the honorable mentions for the month of September. October once again brought another huge batch of killer titles. Battlefield 6, Arc Raiders, Dispatch, RV There Yet, Ball X Pit, Power Wash Simulator 2, Misery, and the list goes on and on and on. While games like Battlefield 6 and Arc Raiders pretty much dominated most of the player count for this month, my personal pick for the winner of October is Dispatch. I actually reviewed Dispatch, and you can watch the full review here. Dispatch is a superhero workplace comedy from the writers and directors of Tales from the Borderlands and The Wolf Among Us. You play as Robert Robertson, aka Mecha Man, whose suit is destroyed, forcing you to work as a dispatcher managing a team of ex-supervillain heroes in a modern-day Los Angeles. The game is broken down into 8 bite-sized episodes. The game itself has a secret identity, though. Beneath the goofy office-styled comedy with fart jokes lies a sincere story about moving past your failures and choosing who you want to become. The game features phenomenal voice acting from Aaron Paul, Lauren Bailey, and others, with stunning animation quality that rivals top productions. The strategic dispatching mechanics puts you in the stressed out headspace of managing rookie heroes. Honestly, after playing this game, I genuinely hope they come out with an animated series, because I'd watch the fuck out of that. With over 2.2 million units sold and over 56.4 million in gross revenue, even if you aren't a particular fan of the superhero genre, this game's story makes it 1,000% worth it for only $29. Here are the honorable mentions for the month of October. What comes up must go down. November saw the game releases cool a bit once again, with only a couple big hits being released in November. This month's winner was obvious since it peaked with over 250,000 players. The game that won this month is Where Winds Meet. Where Winds Meet is a free-to-play wuxia open-world action-adventure RPG set in 10th century China during the 5 Dynasties and 10 Kingdoms period. You play as a wandering sword master, uncovering your mysterious past. The game features Sekiro-styled combat in a gorgeous open world that feels premium despite being free-to-play. Players praise the immersive wuxia world, dynamic combat, and detailed storylines. The game offers both solo and multiplayer content with guilds, raids, and duels. It even features AI-powered NPC chatbots, though it has stirred up some controversy. With over $59.2 million in gross revenue and a large price tag of free, this game is at least worth a try. Here are the honorable mentions for the month of November. The last month of the year brings about many opportunities to publish games of genres that haven't been covered much throughout the year, and this month definitely delivered on that. This month's winner is Rhythm Doctor. Rhythm Doctor is a rhythm game where you heal patients by defibrillating in time to their heartbeats. You literally just press spacebar on the 7th beat. After 4+ years in early access, the full version launched this month, with a complete story mode spanning 7 acts. Each patient has unique illnesses based on complex music theory, polyrhythms, hemiolas, irregular time signatures, but the game teaches you these concepts without you realizing it. The simple one-button mechanic hides devilish complexity. It features local co-op through the campaign, a robust level editor with 50+ visual effects, and challenging night shift versions of levels. And the best part is that the Steam Workshop is full of community-created levels. With over 839,000 units sold and over 9.7 million in gross revenue, this game is worth a try for $19. Here are the honorable mentions for the month of December.
It's taken this pain to realize the truth. You have been through all the things I've been through. You can be my muse, I'll write these songs for you. Now I'm shaken, stirred, awaken. It's taken this pain to realize the truth. So take the craving, take away the craving. Please take away the cravings from me. I can stay away from you. I'll make my way to you. No more tries, no more nights will keep me away from you. I finally found the key to set me free.
And that's it. 2025 definitely had its ups and downs in terms of releases, but was overall filled with so many great titles. Choosing Game of the Year is honestly such a hard job, and it makes sense why most shows, like the Game Awards show, has the players decide by running multiple voting periods. For me personally, the aspect of having a great time with friends online is what pushes games up the ranks. But I can also take a step back and appreciate single-player, story-rich, choices matter games as well. While Battlefield 6 basically dominated 2025 with over 747,000 peak concurrent players, and Hollow Knight Silksong dominated 2025 with over 373,000 reviews, the 2025 Game of the Year has to go to... Wait a second, this isn't such a straightforward answer. See, in reality, games exist in different genres to serve different purposes. One could argue that multiplayer and co-op games serve the purpose of providing a great time with friends, which mostly entail less of an emphasis on story and choices matter, most times, and focus more on the gameplay loop and how fun interactions can be. On the other hand, single-player games serve the purpose of providing an enjoyable experience for all, whether you have no friends to play with or just want chill time alone. These games typically end up being a wider array of genres, from story-rich, choices matter, turn-based, you name it, there's probably a single-player title out there with it. I don't think I can come to terms with giving just one game the big Game of the Year award, because in reality, two titles completely dominated in the aspect of single-player and in the aspect of multiplayer. So without further ado, again, the 2025 Game of the Year for single-player titles goes to Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This game has made me fall in love with the JRPG genre, and I genuinely cannot wait to finish the third act. Not until, of course, I do literally every other side quest, collectible, mission possible. Please help me. And the 2025 Game of the Year for multiplayer titles goes to Repo. God, do I love this title, but do I miss easily throwing monsters into the pit of death? Please, developers, if you're watching this, bring that back. Also, the mod support continues to be amazing, so huge shout out to the community for them. And that's it. If you enjoyed watching this video, please consider throwing me a subscribe and like. I'm continuously struggling to keep my page running, and I've actually been operating for multiple years now in the red. That means I've been losing followers every time I've posted a recommendation on Steam. With Steam constantly throwing curators further and further away, I am really struggling to continue to run both this channel and my curator page. So I need y'all's support more than ever. Thanks for watching!